Welcome back. I'm Barry Craig. My guests today represent an international organization whose philosophy is that every human being deserves a decent place to live. This organization doesn't just preach that, it practices it. The organization is Habitat for Humanity, and with me today to talk about the local operation of Habitat for Humanity are Angie Wilkie and Nancy Buchanan of the organization. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having us.
Let's begin, since I'm a history teacher, with the history of the local Paducah branch.
Okay. The Paducah branch originated in 1981, and it was the first affiliate in Kentucky that originated from the original Habitat for Humanity International, which was created in 1976.
Right.
And that was created by Millard and Linda Fuller. A lot of people always think that Jimmy Carter created that, and he has been very involved, and we're so thankful for what all he has done to represent Habitat for Humanity. But it was originally started in 1976 by the Fullers, and it's a Christian-based organization.
Ecumenical, of course.
Yes, that is correct.
And so I guess what would be interesting too is how did you all get personally involved? Have you all been out there hammering nails and sawing wood and hauling concrete and all that?
We do whatever we have to do, yes. We wear many different hats is what I call it. You know, there's days when I have the business suit on for presentations, and then there's days when I have the jeans and the shirt and the hammer ready to start, you know, with the build. So it's a very unique position to be in. I really enjoy it. It's very rewarding to be able to help the community like that.
And how did you get involved?
Well, I've been involved with Habitat somewhat for years, but my employer, Independence Bank, is very committed to Habitat, and so I joined the board for that reason, because we have committed to build 8 Habitat homes in 8 years in 8 counties, and we'll be building one in McCracken County in the next couple of years. So I joined the board, and I really enjoy it, being involved with giving back to the community. And it's fun to get out there and put the work clothes on and actually build. I've worked on homes that the bank has built, and then other homes that have been built here in Paducah.
So continue with the history a little bit.
Okay. With that being said, like I said, with Paducah McCracken County being the first affiliate in the state of Kentucky, since that time, now that was in 1981, so since that time there has been 67 families that we have been, you know, helping out. There's 2 of those that was incorporated with us that are in Ballard County as well. In the last 5 years, our local affiliate, we have revitalized 7 homes for 7 new families in Paducah. We also built one of the most interesting builds that was the first ever with Habitat, which was the first solar home. And that was built last year. The family moved in December of last year. And it was, you know, handicap accessible, solar built. And most of the time, we've had several requests of people wanting those same plans to try to build one, you know, in their county as well. So it went over really, really well.
You mentioned plans. Are there set plans that Habitat gives you all to use to go by?
There is. It's kind of the way I describe it, you know, cookie cutter type house. They all kind of resemble the same way. They're all probably around 12 to 1,300 square feet. Now, the solar home was a little bigger than that. Depending on the family's need, there have been times if the funding, you know, has been there and we have a family that's in need of a little bit larger. Normally, the homes are a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home. Now, some of them have 1.5 baths. So depending on the need of each family kind of determines what we can do, and of course, you know, what we have as far as anything to help out with that.
If you would take us from start to finish on a typical habitat project. Let's say we have a family, you've got the family all lined up, then what happens?
Okay, well actually what we do, because we're in process of doing it right now, we have what we call a family selection process. And what that is the families call the office, they sign up basically, you know, to say, hey, do you all have a home available? If we don't at the time, we say, you know, give me your name and number. We will have a family selection night as soon as we have a home available. And then we gather everyone, we call them, gather everyone. Grace Episcopal Church has always been very good about letting us use their facility, because we usually have about, you know, 60 to 70 families that come. So that's what we did, and we just had that in October for the family selection process. And
who selects? Is it your board selects the family?
We have in the end, yes, but initially we have a family selection committee, and what they specifically do is go through the applications, make sure that, you know, they qualify, and then the ones that we have that do qualify, then we go and do true interviews with them at their current house to see what their living arrangements are, what their need really is, how specific that is. It's a very, you know, I guess, you know, strenuous process of going through all of that with the family.
When you mentioned the initial qualification, what would that be to qualify initially?
To qualify initially, the main thing is they have to have lived in McCracken County for 1 year. They have to have a need, and you know, by that I mean it can be anywhere from where they're living at currently is not suitable in several different ways. They have to meet a certain income level. It goes off of what I call the HUD guidelines of the median income limits, okay? And it's also based on per family of how many people are going to actually be living in the house as well. So we have that, and then we have a certain, of course, limit of debt to income ratio. It's basically like qualifying for a loan, just like any other consumer would when they go to a bank.
Right.
And I think a lot of people have a misconception about this, is that Habitat homes are given to people. They are not. These people have to demonstrate the ability to pay for that home. It's, you know, at a lower cost and interest-free loan. So, you know, but they do have to pay for that home. So they have to show that they can do that.
So the family has made it through the process. They've been selected.
Yes.
Then what happens?
They have to themselves put in sweat equity, is what we call it.
I've heard that term. Yeah.
500 hours, and it sounds like a lot of time to put in. But what they do with that is, like the family itself can put in 250 that's going to be living in the house. And then they can get family, friends, you know, whomever is willing to help as well, and take on that additional 250 hours.
To actually help build the house.
Yes, or renovate it, depending on which one we're, you know, in process of doing. The one that we currently have, we're going to be renovating, but it's going to have to be renovated almost to the point of we're going to have to gut it and start. The outside it still looks really good, but the inside's going to need a lot of work on it.
Well, when you build a house, do you go out and buy a lot to start with?
Good point. We have lots now that have been donated to us, some from the city. We, you know, depending on the situation, but yes, I mean, we don't typically go out and buy a lot. Most of the time the lots have been, you know, donated to us in some way, and we have some now that, you know, we are ready to use and could start building a home on. We've just got to get, you know, the funding. So that, you know, brings to a whole new category to talk about.
And in the case of renovation, how do you pick a house to renovate?
Okay, in this particular case, unfortunately, this house was a Habitat house. The family that lived there quit making their payments, and of course, just like with anything else with a mortgage, we ended up having to foreclose on it. So we had to take it back. So it was a Habitat home to begin with, and we just have to renovate that back to livable conditions.
Was it a house that you had renovated before, or was it built from?
It was built from scratch.
Built from scratch.
Yes.
Well, typically, do you build more homes than you renovate, or what's the ratio?
We would like to, yes, but in the last several years in Paducah, that's not been the case. It's been more renovating homes than it has been building. With the exception of the solar home that was built last year, and that family got to move into it in December. We're in hopes that, well, we've got the one right now that's going to be renovated that we're going to put a family in. There's a possibility that where our office is located, that house that we're currently using for an office, that we're going to be able to put a family in it and be able to have some office space somewhere else. And then we've also got some commitments from the local community of being able to help us do a new build for next year. So that's all exciting news, because that would be 3 homes total, and typically it's been 1 a year. So that's very exciting for Habitat.
So again, you've got the family lined up. They're going to be required to help do this. So building materials, I mean, how do you get that?
A lot of the times, most of the time, it's donated. Lowe's, Home Depot. I mean, the community here itself is very good about helping donate items like that. We also have a restore, is what it's called, that, in other words, say a contractor's been working on a home and they've got what I call leftover stuff that they're not going to use, but it's new, there's nothing wrong with it. They'll donate that to our restore, and we can either sell that back to the community, and that profit goes to Habitat to build a new home, or if we need it for a new build, then we can use it for the new build as well. So that's kind of how that works. And then of course the mortgage payments that we have right now on all the Habitat homes, that money goes back in to build a new home for a new family, or to renovate, depending on which one you have to do. So that's kind of how that works. And typically a loan for a Habitat family is about $62,000 to $64,000, okay? And then that's set up on a 20-year mortgage, and it's 0 interest. So, but we also require them for escrow for their taxes and insurance. So we pay that for them as well. So it's a mortgage company. A lot of people don't realize that that's what we are as well. We have to manage that and make sure all that gets taken care of. But it's just a very great, unique program for individuals and families, because that's huge that they're able to be in a home that's a new home for $62,000 and 0% interest. So it's a great
Payments
thing.
are very affordable.
Oh yes.
And the other thing, when we have a home that we renovate, it's once that's completed, it's like a new home. You don't.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So there are requirements for what goes into a Habitat home, whether it's a new build or a renovation.
The crews that you all have working, obviously building a house requires specialization. You've got to have electricians, you've got to have plumbers, people, carpenters, painters who know what they're doing. Do you have skilled people or volunteers to help you do this?
We do. Fortunately, we have people that will help, or they'll help guide. They'll come and help initially get things started. And we're fortunate enough to have people in the community like that have that experience and are able to donate their time to help us with those types of projects.
Because,
So,
well, I mean, I could do heavy lifting, grunt work, you know, strong back, weak mind. But as far as I wouldn't know anything about wiring a house or plumbing a house or any of that.
right. Now, I will tell you one thing we are looking at right now is some plumbing issues at this house. And at this point, we have not found anybody that particularly deals with that on an ongoing basis. So that's something that we're looking into, is trying to find someone with some plumbing experience to help us with that.
Well, is there a typical size of a crew to build a house or to renovate a house on a job?
Well, it's, of course, volunteers, so we kind of are at their mercy, whatever they can allow as far as what their schedule will allow for them to help us. When we cleaned out that house that we're renovating, because, I mean, we had to literally go in and get all the stuff out, there was 15 of us, and, I mean, that house was completely full of stuff, and we had that done in an hour and a half with 15 of us. So it's amazing that when you get that many people together,
oh yeah,
I mean, it just goes by so fast.
Yeah. And they're doing it because they want to,
right?
You know, so they're really in there to do a good job.
Yeah. It's almost like the spirit of a cabin raising on the frontier. You know, all the neighbors get together and build a house or a barn or a crib. You know,
it is. It's just very rewarding, and afterwards, you know, when the house is complete, it makes them feel good too. And of course, when we do finally, you know, get the house complete and the family gets to move in it, then, you know, it's on the news or, you know, in the paper as well. So it's, like I said, I think people just have a really big heart and they enjoy it, and they just like the fact that it gives back to the community.
And the other thing is we have some very qualified people on our board who have been around construction and know the process. Some of them, that's what they do in their line of work. So that helps with the builds because they know the process of building a home. Plus, everyone who's been involved in homes, you learn something a little bit every time you do it.
Do you want to credit some of those folks? I know you worry about leaving someone out, but for example.
You mean as far as our board?
Yeah, Nancy was talking about the people who are specialists in that. Who are some of the specialists in that?
Well, our current president right now is Bobby Kohler, which is at I-5 Design Group. So he has a lot of knowledge, you know, in helping us in that area.
And contacts.
Yes, yes. Let's see, then we've got Justin as well, which has been a blessing. He has really helped so much, just in so many different ways with Habitat, and he's on the board, and he has construction experience as well. And we are actually in process of putting together what I call a construction committee. You know, even though we've got a board, then we also branch off into these other committees as well. Just like we've got the family selection committee, then we'll have the construction committee, and then we have a you know, fundraising committee that's huge. You know, because that's the only way that we get any type of you know, contributions in besides the mortgage payments that are paid back to help build another home in the community. So,
well, do people join the organization and pay dues like another organization?
No.
It's just strictly volunteers who want to.
How
to
many
give
members
back.
do you have in McCracken County, approximately, of the organization?
You mean board members?
Well, I mean, so in other words, is there a general membership? If somebody wanted to just say, I want to join Habitat for Humanity and pay dues, it doesn't work that way.
No, we don't charge any dues for anything. I mean, we are more than happy for someone to contact us and say, hey, we want to get involved with Habitat.
Okay.
You know, what do I need to do? And what I normally start out with is tell them, if you would like to come to our you know, monthly board meeting and just sit in on that, give you an idea. And we've had that to happen. In fact, we had that to happen just this past board meeting. We had someone to come and sit in and just listen, and then, you know, hopefully they will make the decision that they would like to join.
Right.
And if they don't want to join the board, then we also have, like I said, the other committees that they could look into joining. So it just depends, you know, whichever one fits their time, need, and qualifications. But right now, the most important thing is we're trying to get together a construction committee, because that's what we're in need of right now the most. And we've had a lot of new board members come on board in the last year. It's kind of had several turnover, which is good to a point, because it's always, you know, good to have new ideas and fresh people there, kind of.
And we typically like to have a board of about 12 to 15 people.
That was my next question.
So.
How large is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on average, how long does a family stay in a Habitat home in Western Kentucky?
Well, on average, I mean, they are, you know, I wish I could tell you that we've never had to take any of them back through foreclosure, but that wouldn't be true. But, I mean, like I said, we've got 67 families right now, and, I mean, they're there. We work with them to try to help them when they get in a bind.
Now, the first house was completed when? Do you know? Your organization started in 81?
It started in 81, so
no, I guess what I'm saying is, would anybody who moved into a house in 81 still be in that house?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The majority of people, it's just like any other, you know, home buying process.
Right.
The majority of people end up staying in those homes, pay them out, own them, you know.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we had one that has paid out not too long ago. So it's
sort of
just a small percentage, percentage that you would have to, it's just like a bank.
Right, right. Now, we're running short of time, but we still have plenty. Let's get some contact information out there. If someone watching this was interested and said, oh, I'd like to contact these folks, give me some contact, phone numbers, emails, whatever.
Okay. For anyone that wants to help contribute or, you know, volunteer their time, they need to contact the office. That number is, of course, 270-444-2060. Myself or Dorothy, which is our part-time bookkeeper, is usually always there. We also have the Restore, that we are in desperate need of volunteers, because right now we only are able to keep that open.
Now explain what that is.
Okay, I was going to say, it's a little confusing, isn't it, when I say the Restore? The Restore is currently, it's located over on 16th Street. Address is 451 South 16th Street, actually. If anybody knows where Ashley Furniture Store is, okay, it's located at the very end of Ashley Furniture Store in the same building, but has a little separate entrance there, okay? And it has a sign out there that says Restore for Habitat for Humanity. And what we do with that is, when I had said something earlier about that, anybody that wants to donate, it has to be, do we take used things? It has to be in very good condition if we take used things. Like Lowe's, for example, they may give to us something that someone had bought and brought back and it had been opened. So instead of them putting it back out on their shelves, they just donate it to us.
So typically, what would it be? Wiring, lumber, paint, plumbing fixtures?
Yes, all of those things. Tractor Supply was very gracious, and they donated a ton of tractor paint. And at first I thought, well, tractor paint, you know, what do you do with tractor? You know, you would not believe how well that went, because, you know, we have the lady that's a volunteer, Terry is her name, and she donates her time, but she also posts these things, okay, on our Facebook and website when we get them, and she could not believe how many people come, and that tractor paint was gone in no time.
So the general public can come in during the store hours or look at the Facebook, and they can purchase these items.
Yes.
And then the money goes back to Habitat.
That's
yes.
interesting. I was going to say, I thought, well, tractor paint, if it was bright red, that probably wouldn't look good on a house.
No, I know. But it's amazing.
But some farmers, you know, come in and buy that cheaper than they could have purchased it at Tractor Supply.
Oh, yes.
Wow, okay. Okay. Now, you also mentioned you have a website,
Yes, we do.
and what is the web address?
It is, you can pull it up just under the www.habitat.org, but now ours is under Paducah, McCracken County, and it may be, I'm not sure if he had put that on our.
You could probably do a Google search too, Paducah,
You
McCracken
can,
County
yes.
Habitat.
You
That's how I
can.
usually do it because I forget those addresses.
Right,
That's,
right.
But we can do that, yeah.
But yes, the main one is www.habitat.org. But to look up Paducah, McCracken County, it has to be put in Paducah, McCracken County, not just Paducah or not just McCracken County.
Well, getting back to the restore, then you use those supplies too if you need them for the homes that you renovate or build, right?
If there was a need for that, yes. But our hope is that, normally
It's primarily a fundraiser.
Yes.
And our goal is to expand that restore and have it open more hours. There's where we need the volunteers to help.
And it's open when?
Currently, it's open only on Wednesday and Friday afternoons from 12 to 4.
Okay.
So we'd like to see that open, 5 days a week maybe, but we need the volunteers to help staff and run that.
So a lot of times we think, someone that would be really good for that would be someone that, is retired and they're just wanting to, get out for 4 hours or so and have something to do and give back to the community. That would be a great way for them to do that. And so, if anybody's interested in doing that, definitely they need to contact us and see if we can't get that set up for them. We would love that. That's what we're looking for and what we need.
We've got about 1 minute left, and in 30 seconds, each of you, please tell me what this means to you all personally.
For me personally, Habitat for Humanity, it's just very heartfelt to me organization that gives back to the community. And that's one thing, there's so many different organizations here in the community. But Habitat for Humanity really does strive to help people, put them in a house. I just think that it's such a rewarding experience to be able to serve on such a great organization and also to be able to help place a family in a home with the children. I think it just helps them, as they grow, to be in a home that they can call their own. So that's just very important to me.
Very quickly.
Well, I think also is the fact that we are helping families who want to help themselves, and they take a lot of pride in having something to do with the build of the home. And also, I just wanted to say that everyone can help. When we have fundraisers, help us. Anytime you buy a ticket or do anything to contribute to Habitat, you're helping with that next home build.
Yes.
Thank you all very much for coming. My guests today were Angie Wilkie and Nancy Buchanan of Habitat for Humanity. I'm Barry Craig. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Mm-hmm.